All right, good afternoon. So this is going to be a comparison or kind of a size up of both these knives, kind of how they perform. I've got a good amount of time with both of them. And some people might not want to compare these two to each other, but I see some comparisons. And I have some preferences on some of it, but we'll go ahead and go through it, and then it's kind of a head-to-head, I think. I'm going to maybe try to make a point. Whether or not people agree with me on those, it's up for debate. All right. So, Spyderco Endura, Cold Steel Voyager large clip point. I think that if they had a Voyager spear point, maybe it'd be more comparable. We'll see. All right, so the Endura, some of the specs, size-wise, the Endura overall length is 8.75 inches, 8 3/4. The Voyager overall is 9 1/4, so it's a ½ inch longer. Blade length on the Endura is 3 3/4. Blade length on the Voyager is a flat 4.0. Blade thickness, and I'm not sure about this. I don't have calipers or any way of really measuring this accurately. The Blade HQ, that's where I got the numbers off this, says it's 1300s. I don't know about that. I think it might be a little thinner. Blade thickness on the Voyager is 1300s too, and I definitely agree with that. Got VG10, and this one is BD1. Now they're AUS 10. They come in. This particular one I got a year ago, and it's still BD1. So I've heard good things on the AUS 10, and I've had nothing but good experience with the BD1. So the AUS 10 may be a step up. I don't know. All I know is I got absolutely zero complaints with this. All right, let's see here. And I don't know the Rockwells on either one of these, because I don't think these guys usually don't, and they don't either really disclose those too often. So we got a closed length on the Endura of 5 and a closed length of 5 1/4. Handle thickness of 6400ths. Handle thickness of 4500ths. So about 2/10 wider handle, which comes into, it's one of the major differences between these two knives. So we got a weight of 3.67, pretty light, and a weight of 4.65, which to me is, well, I'll get to that. Price, Blade HQ will rip you off for $65. Just as I Googled, Cold Steel Voyager, I didn't even Google large, but the first one that popped up was a large someplace, $46. So it might be BD1 and it might be AUS 10. I'm not sure. I didn't really look, but Amazon's probably cheaper too. This one I bought from Cutlery Shop, and it was $51, whatever, about a year ago. The Endura has now climbed. I think I was still paying $77 for that a year ago. This is actually my second one because I lost the first one. $77. Now they're up to $81. So $81. You might be able. That's Blade HQ prices as well. So, but they're pretty. It's probably what it's going to be elsewhere as well. Who knows? Yeah. Okay. So big surprise right off the bat is the weight, because this thing to me feels really light. Okay. And this one feels light as well. I would definitely say this one feels lighter. This one does not feel heavy. And they're saying it's 0.8 of an ounce or so, give or take, 100th, a couple of 500ths, something heavier. So it is a heavier knife. This guy, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, is fully lined, actually, and it's a very rigid, I can't even squeeze that, very rigid knife. That's one thing about this. This thing is lined as well, kind of partial liners. Got a lot more flex to it. Okay, so let's just start from the top. Both of these are good cutters. I honestly think that this one is thinner behind the edge. Like I said, I don't have calipers. It'd be nice. However, I really don't know. You know, I just like if I buy a knife and I go whittle on it or whittle with it, and it shaves wood great. I'm like, great, it's a good slicer. That's kind of how I decide it. If it doesn't, I'm like, okay, so that's not as good. This thing is excellent. That thing is pretty good too. I think this one is actually, and I've sharpened it a lot more. This has been used more. But I think this is actually thicker behind the edge than this. This thing is, I mean, it's a scalpel to me. One comparison, of course, is your Recon 1. I think this one is actually thinner behind the edge than this. And this is a great whittler carver. And that one's even better. So I think for the cold steel blade here, the Voyager blade, I think it is the better slicer, in my opinion, my experience. Because I do a lot of wood whittling and carving. And like I will take a handful of knives. I'll take these two, a Griptilian, a Mora, that cold steel, that Recon, and then this, or like the Para 3 or something. I'll go out and I'll just sit there and around a campfire and whittle, you know. And I kind of assess everything. I'm telling you what, as far as all these knives go, none of them are better than this. Like if you had this and you had a cold steel Fenwolf with a Scandi grind, which actually I think is better than the Mora, the blade is, you can like material removal or whatever, you know, it's like stock removal basically. If you want to take a lot of wood out because you're carving something, you can do that with that Fenwolf because it takes a lot of wood per slice. And this one does too. But then when you get down to like the finer stuff, you know, flat grind works great. This does just as pretty good. You know, it's not bad. It's pretty good. It's actually a pretty good wood carver. So they got that going for them. I'm going to go ahead and give that behind the edge sharpness, and then, you know, shaving sharp, like just wood carving. I will give that to the cold steel there, the Voyager. Price. Let's talk about price real quick here. Okay, this thing is $80. All right. It's kind of it's a work knife. I've used it a lot. I'm happy with it. I like it. I do like it. It's real nice to carry, especially if you're carrying two knives or whatever. You want one kind of as your beater knife, you know. This works perfect for that because it is a full-size knife, and it is durable. And it doesn't take up much. To me, it's like probably the lightest knife that I have, really. So it doesn't. I like how it rides in the pocket because length to me is not the problem. It's like, you know, if you have a big old fat knife in your pocket, and then maybe even weight, it's like you don't want two knives then. Well, if you got this can go along with another one and be kind of a beater knife. This one is kind of like you're just going to take one knife. Because it is, I don't like using that word beater because I don't like really beat on knives or anything, but this is going to do everything for you. And it is bigger, but then you wouldn't need two knives. I don't know why you may not need two knives anyway, but you know, I'm a knife guy. I like having knives. So, but this will be your one knife you'll take because it is a little heavier and it is just bigger. So you don't want to be packing this another full-size knife. You just take this. So do with that bit of opinion as you will. Okay. Price. Let's talk about price. $80. We'll just say $50. Though Blade HQ wants $64 for these now. You can $20 less easily. You know, you can find it online. So we'll say 50 because I think that's about what I paid for it. So 50 compared to 80. So that's a $30 difference. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Yeah, this is a cold steel. It's got the triad lock. Comparable blade steel to this, in my opinion. Heck, maybe even better. I know that I don't get the chipping in this as I do in this, and this one isn't bad. Like, for what I put this thing through, I have honestly been pretty happy with it, but that's better. Like, I haven't had a whole lot of that, and it's really easy to sharpen back. Maybe even easier than that, and that's pretty easy to sharpen. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and give blade steel to the BD1 from Cold Steel, from my experience. Well, sharpening and using. Carrying wise, I will give the Spyderco the edge there on the carry for a couple reasons. Once again, it's a little different pocket clip than comes on the Recon. Just in case anybody's not familiar with your standard old style Cold Steel, and they still keep it on these original models. But this thing, that one is an improvement over it, but it still isn't quite awesome for putting into thicker pockets. Like if you have like a thin pair of nylon pants or shorts or something you're wearing, this one's okay, works fine. But anything thicker, it becomes kind of a problem. I haven't done any kind of tweaking on this or adjustment or anything, and I do prefer that other style, but it's kind of subpar. This one is one of my favorites as it is. So I will give that to this. Both carrying and clip will go to the Spyderco. And then again, you got, there's many things I like about this knife, but another one is this. I kind of like one of my favorites. I'm not real a fan of thumb studs. I'll put up with them, but that's, it's cold steel. It's got thumb studs. It is what it is. One other thing, as far as the locks and whatnot, and if anybody watches this and has experience with these style like this or any of the other kind of plastic backlock knives that Spyderco has, I know you probably can't, I don't know if you can hear that too, but it's got that play. I would even say it's not necessarily flex. There's play in there somewhere. I don't know if it's coming from the pivot, it's coming from the spring, it's coming from the lock itself. I don't know. And this thing is set up where there is no side-to-side play or up and down. There's up and down here, I guess. This is the only thing about this knife I do not like, is that. And that's why I'm really hesitant to buy another Spyderco backlock, because I know this is not going to fail, but it does that. I don't think it does it. I don't think it does it that way, but I don't like that. Though it doesn't affect the performance of it, probably. And I don't think it's going to fail. But it does do that, and I don't like it, because like you don't have to put much pressure on it at all. You're cutting something, and that's what you're feeling, that movement between the lock here and the grip, like in the plastic. You can feel it moving up and down. I don't like that. And this thing, obviously is the triad lock. Super rigid, super strong, and it absolutely does not do that. A lot of that has to do with that back. It's got the stop pin. So, that goes to the Cold Steel hands down. Hands down. I don't even think that's an opinion thing. Well, it's not. This is the stronger knife. It's a stiffer, more rigid, stronger knife. It's got a longer blade. It's a better slicer, better cutter. This has its benefits, and like I said, I really like this, but all that will go to the Voyager for a lot less, for like damn near half, not half, but 60% or so of the price. 60%, or this is 30% cheaper, or what? Yeah, 30-40% cheaper. Cool. So we got that. And what else is there that we can talk about? Thickness, which I've already kind of touched on here. This one we can do a little side by side. This one doesn't like to stand up too well, I don't think. So yeah, it's thicker. It's going to take up a lot more room in your pocket too. But it's not an overly heavy knife, in my opinion. Just over 4.5 ounces. It's not bad weight wise. Carries great. It's just it's not as good as this one. However, if you were to have just one knife with you, I would definitely go with the Voyager, simply because of the ability it has. And I think this is one of their most underrated knives that they make. A lot of people like the Recon, which is understandable. But this one actually has some things that this does not. It's light, it's lighter weight, and I cannot recall what the weight on these are, but they're a little bit heavier. It doesn't have the premium material. It doesn't have as good a blade steel as this does. So this has got a little cheaper steel. And of course, it's got plastic grip, plastic handles, whereas this is G10. So that's one thing. But it has a few things that this does not have. It actually has better cutting geometry, I think, in my experience. It's got a little lighter spring, lighter action, which is, not necessarily make or break for me, but it does. It's a little, it's just a little quicker, perhaps. Let's talk about the grip itself in use between these two. So this thing, out of all the knives that I have, when you're going to go out into the woods or whatever you're doing, and if you're doing extended cutting or like high torque cutting, this is the most comfortable in-hand knife that I have, for sure. And okay, so it's an ugly knife. We can talk about that. I can talk about that too. But this thing, just the way that it's shaped and then how wide it is by far, in all grips, the most comfortable knife that I have. And this one isn't bad, but it's thinner. So, more pounds per square inch or whatever it's going to apply to your hand, which has honestly never been a problem. But this one is just less. Like, you can sit all day. You don't have to squeeze it. You just use it. And it is the most comfortable knife that I have, hands down, out of all of them. So aesthetically on this, though, this does look like a knife that you would buy on the counter at a sporting goods store or a gas station or like a surplus store or something that's like, in the bucket, and they're like $10 or so, or less, like $5 or $10. That's kind of what it looks like. They had the grip, like this, the texture on it and everything, and the way that it just does. So, but it's not, obviously. I mean, the thing is tough. It's strong, durable. I think you can even look up Cold Steel's, like they do their weight hanging tests, their spine whacking tests, and those videos. I think they did do one on a Voyager, and I'm sure they didn't even max it out as usual. So all that is going to go to this. So I don't want this to seem like I am just simply hating on the Endura, because I actually really like it. It's one of my favorite knives. The one thing about it that makes me not carry it, though, is just that movement, that flex. Like I honestly do not like that, and I know, like I've said, I know it's not going to fail. I have no worry of that whatsoever. But man, just a pain. And then kind of the bottom line is price. So this is made in Japan, and this is made in Taiwan. And I know the standard of living in Japan is probably higher than it is in Taiwan. So they can, those people are being paid probably comparable to what you make in the U.S. or something. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. So I get why there's going to be a disparity here. However, for what you get for a lot less money and out of this knife right here, it's not even comparable. So if you're after a mid $100 knife or so, something under $100, at least, give this a shot. That is definitely my opinion. Over this. I think this one, if this was priced at $50, honestly, I could see it. But it's not. It's $80. I just don't think it's an $80 knife. Made in the U.S., made in Taiwan, made in Japan, wherever. I'm not seeing it anymore. I'm not seeing it for $77. But, I wanted to replace one that I lost, so I bought another one, and I mean, it is what it is. And they've been around a long time because people really like them, and I do too. However, that whole backlock issue and the price, kind of a turnoff. Though it is a good knife, and if that's what you're after, if you're after something that's a little lighter weight, carries easier, still you have a 3 3/4 inch blade, I think you can, it's a workhorse. You can use it for hard work, but you got that play, and you're paying $80. So, take your pick on that. People like to compare the Benchmade Griptilian to this. This has a couple of advantages, in my opinion, over the Griptilian, such as just the handle width. It's narrow here. It's actually a little cheaper than the Griptilian, but then again, that Griptilian is definitely going to come with the better steel. It's probably for hard work, better handle shape. So, but anyway, even so, this knife you can get for $100, I'm pretty sure, day in, day out. You can't go wrong with this one either. And if you like the G10 over the plastic, I totally understand that. You get a better blade steel. Now they come with S35, and I think as done by Cold Steel, it's a great steel. This one's XHP, which I prefer. But this is the more comfortable work handle shape. It's going to be kind of more or less half the price of that. It's like I said, it's like the most underrated unknown knife. Like they have a lot of popular models, and this is one of them. But this is the one that's not so popular, yet may be the better knife out of the two. I don't know. It's lighter weight than that, better ergonomics, cheaper materials, but a lot less money. So go for it there. And then if you want to bump yourself up into the realm of this, these are pushing $200 now. So, which is, this is U.S. made, and so that is what it is. And I love this knife. Out of all of them, I probably like this one the best, but it's still not quite as comfortable, and it probably is not even as good of a slicer as this one. All right, that's all I got for now. I think I've repeated myself over and over again. All great knives. It's got some positives, negatives. I think that if you're going to make a logical decision, you'd go with this one. If this is your preference, though, if this has got things that you like the most, I totally would get that because I own it and I like it. All right. Have a good one.